Fox News alert, police increasingly targeted on the job as violent crime is rising in cities across America. This year, we have seen a 41% increase in police officers intentionally killed on duty compared with the first 6 months of last year. 38 officers are dead in attacks, including shootings, stabbings, and being rammed by cars. You're watching Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner. Here today, my co-host, Kayleigh McEnany, host of Kennedy on Fox Business, Kennedy herself. Fox News Headlines 24/7 reporter Carly Shimkus. And in the center virtual seat, Fox & Friends weekend co-host and host of Modern Warriors on Fox Nation, Pete Hegseth. Welcome, everybody. Let me fill in more on this story. Dramatic video of a shocking attack in broad daylight in New York City. 2 children, ages 5 and 10, caught in the crossfire as a gunman fired shots at a man. This is in the Bronx. The children, fortunately, not hurt. The suspect expected to recover. Police now searching for the gunman. Experts are warning that soft-on-crime policies are driving this trend. A new report finds many of those arrested for looting and rioting across New York City last summer had their charges dropped. Criminals. Go ahead, walk away, they said. And out west, the Portland, Oregon Police Union is going after the decision not to charge a majority of rioters involved in last year's mayhem.
We had 150 plus days of unprecedented, sustained violence in the city of Portland. And our rapid response team, along with others from the police bureau, came out every night, stood the line with, like you said, Molotov cocktails, urine, feces, rocks, bottles, everything else thrown at them, plus people. 80% of the people who were charged, who were arrested by Portland police during those riots, 80% of those were declined by the DA's office.
Wow. Daryl Turner filling in some of the gaps on the facts there. And Pete, one word comes to mind for me after talking to cops: unsustainable.
Unsustainable, absolutely demoralizing. They are being targeted. Every loss of life of a law enforcement officer is an undermining of our justice system. And when you look at that attack on the child, that's gang violence. That's what's been reported. You look at what happened in Portland, that's Antifa gang violence. This is organized. And, you know, Bing West wrote a book about Afghanistan called The Strongest Tribe. And traditionally in New York City, the NYPD has been the strongest tribe. But because they have a catch and release program right now, and in Portland, the same thing, the same rioters coming out every night because, as it was mentioned, 80% of them are released. You're fighting the same fight every single day with emboldened criminals who know there's no consequence. It is a recipe for insanity. And contrast that with, no one really talks about this, but there is some reporting coming out about folks being held after January 6th, hundreds of them, solitary confinement, 23 hours, no charges, no bail. Some are college kids, some are 70-year-old, most are first-time offenders. One couldn't even go see the funeral of his Vietnam veteran dad. He was denied the ability to leave. So you have no justice, you have no equal application of justice. It looks very political, and ultimately, when it comes down to people living in these cities, they have demoralized police who have no incentive. They're rational actors. No incentive to be proactive because they're the ones more likely to be charged than the criminals they're going after. It's upside down.
Wow. Kayleigh, I want you to take a look with me at the New York Post cover for today. Everybody look at it. Let them loot. Look, I realize it's not technically a binary choice, but these are 2 of the choices that pop up, right? Is this a political decision that in these Democrat-led cities, the majority of them, that is, that we're seeing the rise in crime, or is it incompetence?
No, it's a political decision, make no doubt about it. If they wanted to prosecute them, they could, but they don't want to. Democrats are facing a choice right now. It's either cave to the far left, the AOCs of the world, the Kamala Harrises of the world, which, keep in mind, recall that she encouraged donations to go to a fund to bail out looters like this. So it's caving to that wing of the party or caving to rational thought. And it's really interesting. You reported on it last hour, Harris, that President Biden is finally, this week on Wednesday, going to address, guess what? rising crime in American cities, which happen to be Democrat cities. He is seeing the polling that I am seeing, a YouGov poll that now shows the most important issue to voters is violent crime in American cities. It is shaping the New York mayoral race. It'll be really interesting to see who prevails tonight. I have a guess. It's not going to be Maya Wiley, who wants to take money from NYPD. They are seeing the political landscape. This is going to affect 2022. And Biden, whatever he says Wednesday, too little too late, because we heard your deafening silence on Police Week, where you just put out a weak statement at the very end of it, never acknowledging our fallen officers in the days that preceded.
So, Kaylee, you brought up such an interesting point. Important to note the primary that's going on in the mayor's race here in New York City. And Kennedy, last hour we had a little clip from the Brooklyn borough president, Eric Adams, who's running. He's among that pack of Democrats. There's a large group of them. And his volunteer on his staff was stabbed as he was mourning, not mourning, but supporting the families of those who were shot at in the Bronx over the weekend. I mean, it is unbelievable, the level of violence. I would imagine that that sort of thing, as Kaylee points out, that's going to make its way into the primary race in a surprising way.
Yeah, and that is actually the #1 issue, and not just for people in New York City, but in other cities like Portland and Seattle and San Francisco, where crime has been on the rise. And you also have an overwhelming homeless population, which diminishes quality of life, not just for the homeless, but for people who are trying to make their way through tent cities in parts of cities they used to love. But Eric Adams is a former cop, and that's really attractive to people in New York City because the reason New York City has always worked, there's been a mutual understanding among the citizens, among the visitors, that you do your thing, I'll do mine, and that's how we sort of keep the fabric of the city together. The fabric is coming apart at the seams. If you ask anyone who lives here, just yesterday, Sunday, Father's Day, I saw a guy urinate in his city park in front of 10 children. And I told a couple of my friends, like, oh, that is nothing. And then they tell you their stories. So, yes, the pendulum is going to swing towards someone who is at least, you know, if not pro-law enforcement, Eric Adams, again, former cop, someone who will want to keep that fabric together.
Yeah, you know, I want to get to this, Carly, before I come to you. So this is an owner of an eyeglasses store destroyed in the riots in the Bronx. Let's watch.
I do not blame the NYPD. I blame the city, the officials, the uppers of the NYPDs, because they didn't give them the support. They didn't give them the go ahead and make a arrest, stop these looters. They were told just to stand back. This is free ride. You want to loot? Go ahead, go for it, because you're going to get away with it. And the looters know these are criminals out there knowing the system, and the system has failed us.
#1 issue, according to financial experts in New York City that we're talking to at Fox News as well, Carly, public safety. It matters who's the mayor of New York City. All eyes on NYC.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing that gets lost in these progressive policies are the victims. The victims of crimes are being forgotten. And you defund the New York City Police Department by $1 billion. You get rid of the anti-crime unit, and of course crime is going to go up. Bail reform, you talk to any police officer and they say bail reform laws are one of the worst things that ever happened to the city. Last year alone, nearly 500 people were arrested. They were released because of bail reform, and they quickly recommitted a crime, and some of those crimes were felonies. And it's not just New York City and Chicago. 50 people were shot this weekend alone. A few weekends ago, a 14-year-old girl, her name is Savannah Quintaro, she was shot in the head. A gang member came up to her, asked her if she was a part of a gang. She said no, but her mother is. They chased her down, shot her in the head, and killed her. She was 14 years old. And in that very city, the mayor, Lori Lightfoot, just declared racism a public health crisis. But gang violence is really the public health crisis, and therein lies the problem with many, with the way many progressives think. They see violence and crime not as crime. They see criminals as victims themselves of systemic racism. So if they're the victims, you're not going to treat them like criminals. You have to treat criminals like criminals because victims are being forgotten.
It's such an interesting point and so important as well, Carly, because what does that mayor say then about black-on-black crime?
Exactly.
I mean, is she not advocating for those victims because they don't fit a narrative? Pete, real quickly, take us home.
I think Carly hit it on the head. This is a philosophy, and I'll be interested to see what Joe Biden says, only because will he really point to the real root causes here, which is defunding police and tying their hands, or is he going to talk about things like systemic racism, that these victims are, these perpetrators of crime are the victims of a system, and that's why we're letting them out and not recognizing that it perpetuates the entire cycle? I'd be shocked if he suddenly turns into a law and order president, he's boxed in on that, and that's tragic.
Well, fortunately, when the police show up and you've called 911, they aren't really looking at you based on that. They're trying to pull you out of the way of the bullets.
That's right.
Thank goodness. All
Exactly.
right, we'll move on.
Amen.